Hey there, Pipsters. I'm Jason. Welcome to Pips-N-Chits. Today I will be unboxing the 2020 release of Apollo, a game inspired by NASA moon missions, designed by Jonathan Gilmore and Sarah Addison, and published by Pandasaurus Games and Buffalo Games. It's a game for 2 to 5 players and ranges anywhere from about an hour to an hour and a half. So let's go ahead and take it down to the table and start unboxing. All right, we have Apollo NASA moon missions here at the table. And gosh, right off the top of the bat, the first thing that grabs you is just this beautiful picture. We're only using 4 colors in this, but man, isn't that a great picture? Very eye-catching and basically kind of just really screams theme at you. When you see this in the store, there's no way you can walk by this and not want to stop and see what this is about. Anyway, up in the upper right-hand corner here, it says includes actual NASA mission information. And again, 2 to 5 players, ages 12 and up. So let's go ahead and flip the box over. And it says, a cooperative moon mission game. You are go for launch. It's 1961, and President Kennedy challenged the nation to land astronauts on the moon by the end of the decade. Now it's up to you to walk in the footsteps of NASA's pioneers and embark on the missions that made history for all mankind. Play as mission control and astronauts. Work together and strategize to complete flight stages, overcome obstacles, repair the spacecraft, and keep communications clear. It's the team that determines if the mission succeeds or fails. And you can, as far as I understand, this game is played, again, you have to have a minimum of 2 players. One person will always play mission control. The other players, whether you're playing as the second person or through 5 players, will play as the astronauts. As a team, you'll be rolling dice and going through the various stages here together with very limited communication with the mission control. I kind of think of it as Captain Sonar, but more on that in a little bit. Let's talk about the components down here. We have 25 crisis cards, 23 comm tokens, 20 plus minus tokens, 12 crisis puzzle pieces, 12 dice. That includes 6 yellow and 6 black. We have 5 astronaut markers, 1 experiment marker, 3 alert clips, 2 mission pawns, comms down clip, a player screen, and a player turn token. So let's go ahead and cut into it. Okay, flip this over. Wow, okay, we have a really cool lithograph here. Looks like a printing of One Giant Leap for Mankind. Okay, here is the Gemini board here. This is just one of the game boards. I believe this is for the introductory mission here. Pretty nice. I just kind of dig that graphic on the back side there. So that is 1 player board. We have our instructions here. You can also find these online. There are 17 pages worth of instructions here. It's color. We have the first couple of pages is all about our components, what we should find in the box, our mission objective, getting started, setup for the game, the astronaut setup, how to play actually starts on page number 7. And we have actions for the astronauts, actions for mission control, how to deal with crisis, the mission control board. All in all, that's pretty nice. Okay, looks like here is part of the screen. Yep, this is the mission control screen. It folds open. This would be up on the hiding what mission control has behind it. This is what the players would see. The flight crew would see this from the opposite side of the table. I'm sure that this, you would pass some sort of information to and from there. Up here at the top, we can see where we would place our clips. It looks like the alert clips and the comms down clips will go up there. pretty nice for mission control. Some things, you know, some shared information or some kind of things that they can do, and just some reminders about on the tokens. Okay, we have our crisis puzzle boards. There are 4 of them here that you would normally punch out. Okay, we have our mission control board, it looks like, or we have flight control, life support, experiments, power distribution, and communications. We're going to place our experiment card here. Looks like we have some, this was a slider. We'll actually put sliders in here that I'm sure we'll discover here in a minute or so. But yeah, it's one big piece of cardboard here. Just nothing on the back side. But got a little bit of a bend to it. Not too bad, but it's a little curved. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, here we have, looks like our larger game board. This is for if you're selecting game number 2, which is the Apollo mission. There's Earth, and we have our tracks for both takeoff and return. And there is the moon and the various stages there. Is there anything on the back? We have, just says Apollo, a game inspired by NASA moon missions. Not as interesting as the graphic that we saw from the other one. Okay, what else do we have here? We have the flight control board, or the board that the astronauts will use. This is where they are going to put dice and check on the different actions that they can do. We have their flight control, power distribution, life support, experiments, and communications. Some iconography down here, or things that they can do, how to repair systems, what the dice, black dice, what they can do here, yellow dice, what they can do here, experiments, kind of like, you know, the little design, some kind of, you know, some graphics on there, so it looks a little bit more visually interesting, but that's part of their board. Okay, next we have our plus and minus tokens, double-sided. Looks like there's 12 on this board here. This is for dice manipulation. You'll either increase the dice by 1 or subtract the dice by 1. That is the numbers. Okay, we have some other tokens here. Looks like, let's see, these are the comm tokens that mission control would use. It says comm on one side. A lot of them say comm on the other side, but there are some bonuses here. Add 1 dice to 1 dice roll, +1 to any system. Change a dice color from black to yellow or vice versa, and transfer damage from one system to another system on a dice roll. Okay, so we have 20, it looks like 24 of those tokens. We have more plus minus tokens here. We have our mission pawns. We have one for the Apollo mission and one for the Gemini mission. Double-sided. And we have our punch board of crisis puzzle pieces here. Looks like only just one-sided here. Remove all puzzle pieces. Okay, we have our dice. We have, let's see, 12 dice. 6 black and 6 yellow. Remember, astronauts are going to roll up to 10 dice. Not every single turn will they get 10 dice. Mission control will have at least 1 yellow and 1 black. So that makes up your total of 12 dice. Astronauts will start with 10. And mission control will start with 2. So there's 12 dice right there. We have our pawns and 2 stands. I imagine these stands obviously for the 2 cardboard components that we saw earlier there for Gemini and this is the Apollo missions. We have our pawns. I'll take one of them out of the bag here. They're just plastic. They've got like a little sticker on them here with a little white marker. I don't think it really means anything. Oh, they're actually wood. They're wood tokens with a sticker on them. And then we have a black token here. Black marker, that's for mission control to track experiments. So there's that one. Let's see, what do we have here? Looks like we have a poster. It says Humanity's Return to the Moon, the Artemis Project. This time to stay 2024. It's put on by NASA Gov Specials / Artemis. This is the first time I'm hearing about that. I'll have to go ahead and check that out. But little freebie poster in there, and I'm ashamed I don't know anything about Artemis. Here is our flight damage board. We have our systems here listed on the left-hand side, the damage level and bonus tokens. You would be rolling the dice and putting them here on the spots 1 through 5. 6 I know are considered wilds. They would go down there. We have 2 bags. This is for the Gemini program and the Apollo program. These are your 2 missions. I'm not going to go ahead and open these up right now because I don't want to spoil anything, but I can tell you it feels like there's cards inside here. I suspect that are privy to those 2 individual missions. But anyway, there's your 2 missions right there. We have our bag of plastic here. We have our alert clips. These would clip up on the mission control screen and flip up and down depending on the status of how things are, whether they're getting close to crisis or not. Here is our comms down clip, very similar to the alert clips. There's 3 of those and 1 of these comms. And here are the sliders. And I'll just take one of these sliders out. Remember, this slider will go into the mission control board here. So in other words, get this inside. I don't want to do it right now, but basically you're going to be able to, oh, there we go, slide these back and forth and to kind of show where mission control is on the various tracks right there. Okay, keep going. So what else do we have in the box? We have, looks like our turn token. Again, a really nice little graphic there on both sides. And then finally, we have our crisis cards. So just a deck of cards. When your systems get to failure there, they will mission control. This either affects them or the astronauts. But again, that only happens when the markers fall down into these bad areas there, and it's up to the astronauts or mission control to fix things, to get things going. But that looks like that's it in the box, so let's go ahead and take it back upside. Hey there, thanks for joining me topside. And since I did this original unboxing some time back, I've had a chance to play the game multiple times, both on a one-on-one and on a 2-on-1, where we've had 3 players. Of course, 1 player playing mission control, and the other single player or 2 players playing the astronauts. And I really think that's the sweet spot, is having 3 players. Anything more than 3 players, I could see maybe a little bit, some of the astronauts on the other side of that screen might feel left out. There might be 1 or 2 alpha gamers that like to solve puzzles, and before you know it, there might be a little bit of arguments ensuing. Hopefully not, but I could see that 3 people all sitting close to each other on the other side of the table might not be the best things. However, while the game can definitely work one-on-one, again, I'm going to go back to it's basically better with 3 people. That being said, let's talk about the manual really quick. The manual is fine for what it is. I think it could have been a little bit better. The pictures were nice, some of the examples were nice, but one area that we kind of seem to go back, everyone that I've played it with is kind of understanding some of those comm tokens, that is the plus or minus tokens that are handed out to manipulate your dice rolls, either up 1 or -1 on those rolls. That takes a little bit of time figuring out how to distribute those, and I just think that could have been written a little bit better. Now, as far as components go, let's talk first about the box. As you saw in the beginning of the video, the box art is great. The board looks great itself. The problem is getting everything back into the box. I found that I had to kind of goof around and mess with some of the components to get them all to fit nice in such a way that I could close the box with the box closing all the way. Some of those larger pieces like the screens, you just have to fit them in just right. So don't be surprised if you have to kind of like jiggle some of those things around or maneuver some of those pieces around a couple of times to get a good fit. I think one place where they missed the mark, well, the dice were cool, by the way. I like the dice. I like the fact that they had kind of like the little digital imprints on it. The yellow and black, fine, I get it for the price point. They probably got cheap dice for that. I maybe would have liked to have seen something a little bit more fancier on the dice, but that's not a deal breaker. The big issue, or it's not really a big issue, but one thing that I didn't like was those little wooden markers that I showed you. I think they really missed the mark with those. I think that if they would have just got some really small generic spaceships, that is rockets that look like the Apollo craft itself, or maybe just some like small little astronaut meeples, that would have been much nicer than those like just generic looking red pieces of wood with a sticker on them. I think that would have enhanced the game a little bit more, because it's a very immersive game. When you're playing this game within a couple of rounds, I think you really do feel like you're an astronaut, and the person on the other side of the screen really does feel like mission control. I think within a few rounds, you really kind of get the sense of the urgency of completing these missions. Now, speaking of that, missions there, that to me was kind of a drawback too. There's only 2 missions included in the box. The beginning tutorial mission, if you will, to get your feet wet, and then the expanded second mission in there. And the game purports to be missions inspired by NASA. I think even if it was a fictional mission, they could have included something else for that price point there. I think having only 2 missions in the box might have been a slight disservice. If it was something like, hey, you have X amount of turns to deliver something to the International Space Station, like supplies, or retrieve an astronaut from the space station, or do kind of like more of like a science mission, like maybe send your craft up there to study a comet as it whizzes by, or an asteroid as it whizzes by. I really think that they could have included a 3rd mission, because out of the box with only 2 missions, you might feel a little let down. Overall, though, for the price point, it's a fine game. I think I would highly recommend, or at least be okay with people purchasing it. It's educational. I think it's a fun game. There's some great puzzles in there. I think you feel a lot of that tension in the game as time is, and you're looking at the cards and you know that time is running out and you have to complete so many things. Definitely those press your luck component there. That was all fine and dandy. Overall, I approve of the game. I wish there was, again, a little tad bit more to it. But overall, I think it's a solid buy, and I suppose today, now that the game has been out for a while now, I think just over a year, if you picked it up for $19.99, or maybe at a flea market, or find it online for 15 bucks, I don't think you can go wrong with that. It's a good family game. Again, you can learn a lot in there. The cards have like a little science explanations on there, and there's some interesting things to read. So I hope you enjoyed this and my thoughts and my kind of like little review here. And I hope to see you guys next time here at Pips-N-Chits. Thank you.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.